This Doberman is here with me at my training centre because it has bit multiple people, and obviously we want to get on top of that behaviour as quickly as possible, because whenever a dog starts to bite people, it is often on a one-way track towards euthanasia, and everything we do here is keeping dogs out of shelters and off the euthanasia table. As a canine behaviourist, I specialise in a variety of different problem behaviours, and we are well known for our incredible transformations with large, powerful guarding breeds displaying extreme behaviours. And I want to take you on the journey with this dog of how we go about helping people that are struggling with these kinds of behaviours, so that if you are watching at home with a dog that may be on this path, is already well down this path, that we can give you hope, we can give you a light at the end of the tunnel, and that you know there is positive outlooks and positive options for you and your dog. Now, when a client comes to us with a dog that has human bite histories, the first thing that we do is we book them in for our full day behaviour diagnosis and treatment plan program. And the first part of those days is us doing a deep diagnosis of the dog in a variety of different components. We want to know the temperament and characteristics of the dog. We want to know the motivational impacts of the dog. We want to know the emotional state of the dog. And we want to look exactly why this dog is biting people, because without all of that fundamental foundational understanding, we can't truly develop a treatment plan that is going to be as effective as possible. Now, with this Doberman that we're working with today, it is a very common cause for bites on people. He actually isn't what you might class as a very aggressive dog. What he actually is a very nervous, fearful and anxious dog. Now, me and my team of trainers and behaviorists, we nerd out on these things and we go into incredible levels of detail in this stage of diagnosis, but I won't bore you with that in this video. But what I want you to know is that the vast majority of dogs that bite people aren't necessarily incredibly dominant, aggressive dogs. I find, in my experience of working with countless cases like this, it is much more likely that they are fearful and anxious, and they start to learn that biting people helps them manage situations that they're finding difficult. So coming back to our example with the Doberman we're working with today, we quite quickly realised that the main trigger for this dog's bad behaviour is what I refer to as key spatial boundaries. Now, we never know what a dog's spatial boundary exactly is. There's rough estimates for kind of generic, but the reality is it's different for every dog. The main trigger for this dog is when somebody that it doesn't know crosses that key spatial boundary, makes them feel incredibly fearful. If, when they're feeling that way and somebody has passed that boundary, they decide to bite them, that person will then go outside of that spatial boundary, which means job sorted. In the future, they learn that if somebody comes into this boundary that I don't want them in, if I bite them, they go back out, so I'll just keep doing that in the future. Pair that with a dog that is very insecure and very anxious because it doesn't have a leader that it can follow their guidance and direction, and it is a recipe for disaster. So when we've done this diagnosis, that then allows us to form our treatment plan. And our treatment plan for this dog was 2 stages. Stage 1 is working on the relationship between the dog and its owner. Now, Dobermans are very commonly what people might refer to as Velcro dogs. A Velcro dog, being a dog that wants to be with you all the time, is incredibly attached to its loved ones, has its positives, but this is the big downside of a Velcro dog. If not managed well, that dependence on their loved ones, if not done correctly and appropriately, creates a fearful, nervous, anxious dog. So that's exactly what we need to start on. We need to flip the relationship between the owner and the dog. And again, the reality to that is it's different for everybody. Yes, there are fundamental principles, and I teach them on this channel every single video. So subscribe if this is your first time here. However, when it comes to this level of detail, with this level of severity of behaviour, we make sure that we create a bespoke plan working closely with the owners to work out exactly what it is that they're doing wrong, what it is that we need to do to help them be able to do it right, and then ensure it's being done right every time moving forward. Step 2 is then the treatment plan for the dog's actual behaviour. And again, for my behaviour nerds that might be interested, we're going to be following a program called operant counter conditioning. Now, you can go and research that if you've never heard about it, but I'm going to break it down in simple terms. The long-term objective is to help the dog understand that if somebody crosses its spatial boundary, it is not something that they need to be aggressive towards. They don't need to bark and they don't need to bite. If somebody crosses that spatial boundary, they offer us a behaviour that we have already taught them instead. And they know that that is how they're going to be able to navigate that difficult situation. We pair that with trying to lower the emotional impact of somebody crossing the spatial boundary in the first place, utilising things like desensitization and socialisation, and we will be able to get this dog to a place where it is not biting people if it comes into that close proximity with it. Now, again, like everything, there's lots more to it, and my team of trainers are the best in the UK, and they're incredibly skilled at being able to implement training plans like this, and more importantly, be able to hand that training plan over to the owners to ensure that they're able to keep it up, which is the important thing. But if you want to look at this like a traffic junction, this Doberman is regularly finding itself where it's driving to a junction and it's hitting a set of traffic lights. And those traffic lights are feeling fearful. They are that somebody has crossed their spatial boundary. And in front of those traffic lights, it has 3 potential options that it can take. It can take option 1, which is to bark and bite and be aggressive. It can take option 2, which is to avoid, and it can take option 3, which right now it doesn't even know is an option, but that is to do something that we've asked them to do instead. We need to make sure that we close off option 1. We make it clear to the dog that that is not a road that you can ever go down anymore, because we're going to put barriers in place to prevent them ever choosing to take that first option. Again, there are many, many different ways of doing that, and every dog's different. So we create bespoke different plans to be able to shut off that option for the dog. Option 2 is to try and avoid and ignore the situation. They're still feeling the way that they feel, but they know because option 1 is closed, they go down option 2, which is just to avoid the situation. It's better than option 1 right now, which is what we've achieved early on in the day. But what we want to do is say, hey, I'd rather you take option 2 than option 1, but option 3 is right here for you, buddy. And what I need from you is to come and sit nicely. It's to bring your engagement to me. It's to go into a down stay. It's to come into a heel sit. Whatever it is that we want option 3 to be, I've hit these traffic lights, I've come to the junction, and I'm going to choose option 3. And option 3 is to engage with me. It's to look up to me for guidance and direction and do as I ask, because that's how I navigate out of this difficult situation that I found myself in. We cannot do that if we don't first close off option 1 and then help them understand that there's an option 3 in the first place, and that is why we're able to have so much success. The unfortunate reality is that many people just leave option 1 open, and option 2 and 3 never get used because option 1 is either a habit or it's the easiest way out for the dog. Some people might close option 1 but only ever let the dog go down option 2, which, if left unchecked, can create things like learned helplessness. And although it fixes the problem behaviour, it leaves us with a dog that's nervous and fearful and just shuts down. We need to close option 1. We let option 2 happen in the short term to prevent the dog from being euthanized, whilst we teach them very, very clearly and as a fun way as possible that option 3 is the best choice available, which is exactly what's happening behind me right now. Ben is teaching this dog that there is an option 3, and that option 3 always leads to fun situations. As we move forward with the training plan, I'm going to start coming back into the equation, and we will start slowly to cross those spatial boundaries. We'll help the dog understand that option 1 is now closed, option 2 is an option, but option 3 is much better. We hand that skill set over to the owner while simultaneously helping them become higher level leaders that remove that anxiety and remove that fear and remove that uncertainty from the dog, which lets option 3 be a more easily accessible choice in the first place. And we can now help a dog navigate through life, not just from a better behaviour perspective, but from a happier, calmer, more fulfilled perspective. And that is exactly why I believe that leadership is love, and that is exactly why we're able to have such incredible transformations. So if you're struggling with this at home and you're being told that euthanasia might be an option, or if there is no hope for you, or that you should give up your dog, I hope that you believe now that that isn't the case. You just need to find somebody that is skilled, experienced and equipped in being able to navigate you through the process. And that is exactly what we do here at this channel, and that's exactly what we do here at my centre. So subscribe, come and say hello if you need help, and we're more than happy to do so.